Welcome, friends. Thanks for being here. It's great to see all of you. A little extended noodle break there. I hope it was all right. Let's see. Today we have a variety of things on the menu. In fact, it was so many little things, none of which seem to warrant its own stream entirely. So today it's kind of just a cornucopia of a whole bunch of different things. We'll call it good housekeeping, just some housekeeping items and an opportunity for us to get together, clean some stuff off the table, and hopefully move forward on a few other items. But first, again, just thanks to everybody for dropping in. It's always a pleasure to see you and get all the usual suspects here. It is, again, for me, one of the delights and great joys in my life now is to meet with you folks regularly, and getting to know the folks in this community has been remarkable for me and frankly life-changing. And so some of that actually came on the heels of, I mean, I'd gotten to know people and really enjoyed it, but one of the things that was just fabulous, really, and life-altering was being able to work past my abject terror of getting out again into public after many years away. And joining up with the Flattoberfest that Karen B. put on in October last year. I was frankly terrified. I haven't been out in public in a very long time. And, some dental issues made it kind of more. And I booked flights bookending the event, and also made coffee to give myself a little bit of buffer so I could focus on that in case I got really uncomfortable, and made sure I had a rental car and a hotel room that I could run away to just in case. Well, what turned out instead was that I had just the most amazing time meeting some of the best people in the world. And I want more. And I was kind of heartbroken to have to leave so early on Sunday following the event because I couldn't take anybody up on offers to hang out. So this time, at the first opportunity, the solar return is coming. We thought we had a little bump in the road, couldn't find a place to do it. And then back to the Shriner Event Center in Greenville, South Carolina. So go Karen B., go Nathan, Commercial Sound and Video, for getting this put together and giving us an opportunity to meet once again in person. So we'll begin there in my list of housekeeping things. I do have a list, but we'll probably just kind of go randomly here. Let's see if I can do this. Hopefully Karen won't copyright strike me. Hopefully. Let's see here. So this is a little promo for, hopefully you'll be able to hear this.
Flat or round? It's round. Okay, now let's see. How do we go about proving that?
Yeah, good. How do you go about proving that? March 2021 in Greenville, South Carolina, with music and arts and hands-on physics labs. The coolest people in the world. Live performances by Chief Crow and the Flat Earth Worms. Jason Lindgren going to do some acoustic music. I might even sit in with him. So how about that? Tammy Nodell and Zach Zabala with their hands-on physics lab. Gonna love that. Watson Atkinson demonstrating his stuff. Media Bear gonna be there. I know you can read, but and more, and I'll be more. Looks like I'm gonna make it as well, because I booked my flights. Yes, I did. I booked flights, and I gave myself a little extra room this time. So what I was able to do is come in on Thursday night and not leave again until Sunday night, giving me a little extra time to hang out with the folks. So get your tickets now if you use, as Commercial Sound and Video just pointed out there, ticket discount code 1111 expires on 3/3. Illuma very naughty confirmed. So there you go. Greenville, South Carolina. You want to fly into Greer. It's Spartanburg Greenville Airport. unless you can find a better price into someplace else. But number of hotels around, and I think we'll be in the park again. I didn't get to do that last time, but so there you go. Make sure and do that because. Well, you'll want to. So you got that going, which is nice. Make sure. Let's see. Did I miss any? Oh, yes, I am missing some things there. So I got to come back to. Let's see. Come back to this, and I am putting out the call. What I'd love to do. I just had a random idea, and I'd love to see it happen. Is put out the call for players, right? Pickers. I talked to Trey Clark. I don't think he can make it. Trey Clark. Infamously does the Poppycock Report theme song. He also infamously unplugged the streaming from Flattoberfest. So it was hit and miss there for a minute. But yeah, he can't make it. He's got a dog. He's in the doghouse. Well, sort of like that. In any case, but if you, especially looking for drummers, if you are a drummer or know one would like to come, we just love to have a jam session, right? Just kind of sit in and have a good time playing. So if you're down with that, hit me up, and I think my contact information is again in the show notes, unintended.consequences3@gmail.com. Hit me up. I'd love to hear from you and see if we could just kind of put together just an informal jam, right? We'll just sit around, have fun, because that's how we do. And I'll probably throw down some just noodles of my own if you're not sick of that yet. So let's see, there's that. What else on my list? Oh, so let's not forget other meetups. So that's the 27th of March, 2021. Again, you can go to flattoberfest.com, flatearthfestivals.com. My bad. In fact, I'll put that in the spam chat right now with that. So that's the Solar Return Celebration link. If you want to go there and get some tickets for yourself. So you'll want to make sure. And Ted Summers going to be there, and the sexy beast himself. So you don't want to miss Ted. No one gives the bear head like Ted. I think Zulu 1 is coming. He's got that going on. Like I said, the world's best people are going to be there. So if you want to be one of the cool kids, it's time to show up. Let's see. So there's that. But then Flattober West, or at least Solar Return on the West Coast, coming up on the 20th. That was, in fact, the original date the Solar Return was scheduled in Neyland Park in Shelton, Washington. Back up here. So over across the Puget Sound from Seattle and Tacoma, Neyland Park in Shelton, Washington. And a little park here, kind of zoom in. It's going to come up at 2 o'clock. There you go. Kind of got a nice little swirl to it. So that's where we'll be, 2 p.m. on the 20th of March. And I know Ceiling Fan Man and Mrs. Ceiling Fan Man will be there. I hear tell that Mark Sargent is threatening to come. I think I'll be there. Pretty sure I'll be there, even with maybe even Fuck the Fucking Fuckers shirt to give away. So we got that going, which is nice. So that's 2 p.m. coming up on March the 20th, Neyland Park in Shelton, Washington. If you need overnight accommodations, there are a couple of places. There's the Shelton Inn, as well as a really nice Little Creek casino resort in the Inn Casino there. And I'm sure they'd love to have you spend your money there. I don't recommend gambling, but it's always an interesting time. So you can usually get a deal. There. So anyway, that's coming up then. Also, there is another meetup, and again, I hope I don't get copyright strikes from our friends, but you never know. I think this was Dave Weiss, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, via Mark Sargent. But this is coming up as well. For those of you on the East Coast, I don't live near Connecticut, but I'm not going to stop the video. That's the infamous Dave Weiss, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. Dearth, that's Rob Skia there. And it's flat. That's an umbrella. That's a billboard. This is going to be a casual meetup at Uncle D's Diner. That's right, East Berlin, Connecticut, not Germany. a lovely Masonic floor. Can't leave those guys out. I mean, we are meeting at the Shriners Center. Sunday, March 7th, 12 to 4. You can get food up until 1:30. And there's some very dramatic music as well. So cost of admission you have to reject. Cartoon globe. So make sure for that. Am I not screen sharing? Oh, what's happening? Oh, you know what? Oh, I'm a doofus. I pulled this up. All right, so I got to do that whole thing again. Oh, amateur hour. Right, the music does make more sense with the video, and you just go back and play those comments that I said, before. I did a play-by-play, but you didn't get to see it. Oops. So as I was looking for that, what I found was, I didn't even know this was out there. I mean, again, I'm the last to know anything. But at meetup.com, you can find other people who are into questioning the heliocentric model. There are a number of places are all around the U.S. and the U.K. Interestingly enough, they also have Flat Earth Society meetups. But you don't want that. You want that. Okay, so Robert Page asked Ceiling Fan Man how the green biscuits and gravy came out last week. I usually am content to let other people judge my work. So, Ceiling Fan Man, how was it? Was it all right? Was it okay? The green biscuits and gravy. Let me pull up my list of goodies here. They were amazing, he says, and they caused Baldini and Mrs. Baldini to take a nice nap. That was pretty awesome. All right, so let's see what else we got. So Solar Return, I got that at the Shrine Event Center. Again, the discount code 1111 expires on 3/3. Jam Band, again, if you guys want to have a little jam, little Grateful Alive jam. I don't know. We did the Flatober West Solar Return, Flat Earth Meetup. Okay, so and I guess since this come up, we'll touch base on this health update. So here's where we're at. People have asked, am I doing better or worse, or what's happening? People have given me lots of suggestions, as well as really kindly sent a number of products. And so I've been going through those bit by bit, because I can't do everything at once, because otherwise you wouldn't know what the hell's going on. And so I do. Some of them seem to work actually better than others, so I'm making notes on that. And but I do have some days better than others, and fortunately, these days I can go about 3 or 4 days, be all right, and then I'll have a day and a half that's bad. So more often than not. Not too bad. I do have to, yes, Jay Armstrong, if you have one, you can bring it, but make sure don't never clap on the, no. The 1 and the 3. I've seen it too much. Okay. So anyway, let's, so health stuff. Anyway, trying to get, some imaging done is the next step. I hate doing anything allopathic, but at least the imaging technology works. So I'm going to take a look, get a sonogram, and see if we are looking at the CBD, which is the common bile duct between the gallbladder and the liver, and see if there's an obstruction, what's happening there. If not, we're going to take the other avenue, assuming that it may be cyclical vomiting syndrome, which really is more of a catch-all for you puke, dude, and regularly, and we don't really know why. So we got that going, which is nice, and it's really trying to save up. This is a bad hit because I have been scrimping and saving for a couple of things. One of them is to take care of the dental issues that need addressing. So anyway, wish me the best on that, and I am going through those steps. And I have a couple of people I still need to reach out to that have been gracious enough to agree to it, and I just have been overwhelmed. But I think I'm in a position now I can better move forward with some of those things, and then I have a better idea where we're at. Let's see here. Music. Several people have asked about noodle fests or noodle recordings or that sort of thing. I'm more than willing to do that. Again, for those of you who may not be aware what the noodling is all about. So hadn't played any kind of instrument for a very long time, and Jason Lindgren was kind enough a year ago to help me get a keyboard. Unfortunately, the one that we got didn't work, and it's still in disrepair. I spent a few $100s having gone through, and they were wanting to charge. Basically, they had to rebuild or put a new controller board in it, which by the time I got done was actually cost more money than I'd actually spent for it. So it's in a state of still disrepair. So I just got another one instead, and it had issues as well. So, but I think it can be fixed. Hopefully, but it's enough that I can play. So anyway, but I hadn't played in a long time, and so I began just doing, and I continue to do so. Well, it's also part of the nature of the way the streams went initially, and you'll find that the first couple of episodes of Unintended Consequences were put together from initially the channel was going to be long form edited video, scripted and put together. I had some issues immediately uploading some of it, and still do have some issues uploading. They just don't like me, but so I started doing live streams instead, which is I suppose a little bit lazy, but it's also extemporaneous and it's in the moment. And so we are, it became something different. And so one of the things that I wanted to do was just have all the music within the streams be original. And so I was just going to kind of play along. But what I started doing was just noodling or playing improvisational. Just there's no plan or direction. When I sit down, I find a sound and I try to follow it with whatever the mood strikes me. And it serves a purpose of clearing my mind before the stream and putting me in a space of not hanging on to anything and just listening closely. So I try to listen to Dad and to the ether and see what's out there. And I do that when I play, and then it puts me in a mindset to address these other issues. Also, of course, it gives an opportunity for the stream to start a little bit early, put out a notification, hopefully people show up, and then afterwards. So I usually will put the noodles before the top of the hour. Program always begins at the top of the hour. And then I'll go back typically and put a note where the transition between music and the program begins. So that's what the noodling is. It's just improvisational, which then again means that doing an album or something like that, it's a little weird because it is improvisational, and it always is that way. But I've been looking at a variety of different ways to do it. I mean, certainly if I was going to record something, I want it to be good, and that's part of my problem. Generally, as I get kind of I don't know, obsessive about it or perfectionist, and so I always want it to be good, and doing it improvisationally kind of bypasses that because I don't have any choice, right? It's flying without a net. So looking at a way to do that, perhaps specific streams for that, or just once I get things sort of settled a bit, being able to sit down and record a few ideas and progressions in a way that would be pleasing to listen to and not interrupted. So just kind of figure out a way to do that. There's the other thing, which is the 100-plus songs that Joe Ray and I wrote together with Jim Rogers, who is now no longer with us, but back in the late 80s and early 1990s. And just a very few of them got recorded. Most of the ones I have are just rehearsal tracks. They were just put together literally in an afternoon, designed so that a band could practice while we weren't together. Because I had to travel for a period of like 10 weeks before a concert. So the recordings were never really intended to be, commercially released. So, but as we get older, right, and certainly after the loss of Jim, we've talked several times, and since we've kind of reconnected, and you'll see him often in the chat, Joe Ray, or Timeless Musical Journey. And we've been wanting to kind of, transcribe or record some of those old songs for posterity and maybe rewrite them a little bit. They, of course, sound a bit dated because they are, right? But there was a number of them that we thought were pretty good, and seems that some of you guys appreciate those as well. So we're trying to figure out a way to do that as well. I hope, I don't know if he's here or not. I haven't seen him in the chat, but without wanting to embarrass him. So Joe got kind of in a tough spot. He had, the last couple of years, been doing kind of one-man band shows of classic songs all the way back to the 30s and 40s, but all the way up to the 70s and 80s and 90s and current stuff for nursing homes, right, for elderly folks, giving back to the community. And he didn't get paid much for it, but he would do a lot of them. He would do often 2 or 3 a day, and he was playing 400 plus of these shows a year until, of course, the Crenany hit, and that just stopped everything. Well, in that period of time, he'd also been, he'd moved in with his elderly parents to become their full-time caregivers. His parents are quite elderly. His dad is now 94, and his mom just passed away last year, so he cared for her. Her health had declined rather seriously over the last several years, and so she was pretty much blind and immobile, and so he and his wife, Sherry, were helping them out. Well, again, without getting into much of the dirty laundry, he's much younger than his sisters. They're 14, 15 years older than he is. He was a surprise late baby. And they have taken the position, of course, that because he's lived there, quote, rent-free, that whenever he passes, they're going to sell the house, and basically he'll be homeless and have no place to live, even though he was there spending his time doing this music work so that he could care for them. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not tickled with his. There's always been that stuff going on in his family. It's weird, but again, I don't want to embarrass Joe. But anyway, just that he's in a spot, and his doesn't know what's going to happen. His dad will probably pass soon. I've been trying to encourage him to, for us to get together and try to make a go at this. So, as part of, I think the long term, when I do pull the trigger on, also on the list today, the poppy cult. Right, communal living situation. Try to make a space for Joe, and one of the things there, I think, because we have so many people in the community who are artistic, that sort of stuff, is have a few features in that area, including kind of a podcasting and music studio and video studio for doing that sort of stuff, so that we can pursue these things together. But in the interim, I bought him some just basic recording I/O stuff, like I just got for Ceiling Fan Man. He's got a brand new microphone and a little interface to make his podcast better, and we'll talk more about that. He's got a new weekly podcast, Ceiling Fan Man. And he's able to get, he'll learn how to get up on the mic and sound real cool. But until then. Yeah, anyway. So got him a little interface. I need to find him a laptop, right? And I just don't have a lot of money. So I'm slowly but surely trying to get him set up. So I guess the long-winded answer to the question, we're moving in that direction. I just can't promise anything immediately. There's so many things going on. It feels like I'm, the guy spinning the plates on the Gong Show, right? It's got the plates on the sticks, and he's running around spinning those. It's that's what's going on there. Yeah, I agree, Rob, that your real family shows up. And that's what one of the things on my list today is that we are family. In fact, want to just address a little bit of that, just taking care of those in our community. This is one of the things that I so love about our community, and I'm so just delighted and amazed at at the community that we're in, how well we care for one another and come around each other when there's need, and to support those who are contributing to the community. It's a beautiful thing. And but there are folks who are right now in need, and I don't want them to be forgotten. After the Flatoberfest, Mac Parhar, Flat Earth Proctor, on his return to Canada, had a nosy neighbor, and of course, you probably already know he got arrested and detained, and now is facing charges for having not complied with self-quarantine. He did not accept self-incarceration to curtail his freedom because he's not sick. He's standing up for his rights and for yours. And whether you agree with what he did or not, again, he is fighting the fight. And he does need some help, because he tried, again, from my perspective, again, we'll talk about some other folks in our community, Beth Martins, for example. Love Beth, and I've done a couple of streams with her, and plan to do more. She's touching on some really important stuff in our community that a lot of people have not, or are even not as qualified to, which is touching on the internal growth process, and not just the external stuff and doing all the research, but applying positive and effective internal growth, so that you can grow. So it's not just the information, right, that you grow as a person. And she and Mac and other people are really pursuing, and you've seen it on Crow 777 Radio as well, this idea of the legal avenues, and how the straw man, the fictional straw man, has enslaved all of us. And so it is fascinating and very powerful to understand the nature of that, and what your actual inalienable rights by your Creator are. And this is something that was well elucidated, beautifully elucidated, for example, in the United States Constitution. However, from what I can see, it was always a carrot, right? It was a promise that they never planned to deliver. That's how you get people to be enslaved without complaining, is that you tell them that they're free. And I think this is that's exactly what we have here. It's well elucidated. It promises you your freedom, but it's never delivered. So it is a powerful thing to understand self-sovereignty, and taking not only responsibility for, but control of your life and your will. However, the problem that I see with that is simply claiming that in a court of law. They are faithless, and either they don't know, or they are unwilling to allow that to proceed. And so in similar ways to having to deal at times with an allopathic medical system for trauma care, that sort of stuff. There are times, and my wife and I had this discussion, in fact, just a few days ago, that as much as, frankly, I despise most people involved in the legal profession, because, the reason that when lawyers fall off cruise ships, that sharks don't eat them, it's just professional courtesy. Anyway, and I say that having been my intention as a youth was to become a lawyer. I got a full ride scholarship to law school through the Marine Corps, ROTC scholarship. Turned it down at the last moment, but because my intention was that I thought I could see even then that the world sucked, and I thought, well, it's if you can change it by changing the laws, and so the people who make the laws are politicians. Most of those are attorneys. So I'll become an attorney, then a politician, and change the world, of course. Oh, sweet summer child. Oh dear. Anyway, yeah. So, but I don't. Having observed what I've observed, I don't not care much for the legal profession. However, there are times when you absolutely need someone who understands it to help you navigate it, or you will get screwed. And there's so many evidences of this from a case where I was falsely accused of something in my early 20s, and I appeared in court representing myself. They were handing me the folder of the accusations against me, and because they thought I was the attorney, and then they realized it was me, and so they wouldn't let me have it. I'm like, wait a minute, you would give it to my attorney, but not to me, the person who's accused of it. And then I, had filed for them to drop it. And in this case, I went and hired an attorney. He said that's unlikely. He screwed me over, and I went back and just filed the paperwork myself and did get him to drop the charges because there was no evidence. It was nonsense, a charge. Anyway, but there has been numerous cases where the outcome didn't work out because the person tried to represent themselves. Right? They say a person who represents themselves in court, it has a fool for a client, even if they are an attorney. So it is it is important at times to have legal representation to help you navigate these things, even as distasteful as it might be. And I think that, again, this is my encouragement for Mac. I think he's seeing that as well. It's not my business, but I think he's also seeing that he's going to need legal representation to help him navigate this, because they rejected, his premise that they had no jurisdiction because he's not the legal fiction. So moving forward with that, I guess what I'm saying is he's going to continue to need both your thoughts and prayers, but also financial support and material support in fighting that. Moreover, there's other people, right? There's Chris, and I can't remember his last name, but just recently had some stuff going on there. You probably saw in CBC News, the guy at the tire store, right? He's going to need some legal representation. And so with this, I began to think about it, and I was going to call in on to Karen B. and Brian Stavely the other night on Unveiling This Realm, but turns out I was a couple of minutes behind and then didn't realize I was trying to call in at the wrong time. So very inappropriate of me, I'm sorry. But I didn't get to. But I had this idea about, it comes to mind with the V. I've got some people that are listeners, and we've been talking locally, and they're being pressured by their employer, which is one of them works for Amazon, and they're being pressured into not only getting tested, but to getting the V. In fact, they're going to pay them, they're offering to pay them up to $80 to get the V and give them a couple of days off work for that. And of course, they do not wish to do that. But it is going to, I think, increasingly, the handwriting is sort of on the wall. It's going to be a bigger issue. And so we need to be prepared for that. And so the idea that I had, and I just want to throw this out there and start, just get the idea going, is that we should try to seek out some sort of truth community friendly legal counsel, ideally, again, in every country, and even better as local as possible, because in the United States, of course, it varies state to state. I know in Canada it does also province to province, but in different places to find truth community-friendly legal counsel. They don't have to be, a flat earther or a truther at all, as long as they're committed to the ideas of freedom of speech and lack of censorship, and to, these principles that we hold dear. These are the very things upon which Western society is supposed to be based. And of course, it's being trampled on out in the open now. And so trying to find legal representation in what I was kind of thinking is perhaps that we could find someone who is, or a group, right, that would be friendly to this and amenable, that we could kind of come up with a sort of prepaid legal. We could pay a retainer. And then we'd have to have, I think, moderators so that we just don't bug them with every nook and cranny, like my neighbor's pissing me off, what do I do? Or, I got a ticket, not to waste their time with that sort of stuff, but rather to take on some of these fights as they become apparent. And for example, to come up with a sort of boilerplate response when you're challenged on wearing the mask, right? So to look at these aspects of legality, I mean, most of us who have claimed medical exemption have already downloaded our state's mandates, and we know exactly where to point them to say, this is, you can't do that. So even in their face, sometimes they don't respond appropriately to that. And again, it's unfortunate, but I think, again, with legal representation, it puts a little bit of force behind it. Sometimes all people need is a little threat, right? I found in the past that having legal representation, just to send them a letterhead, a letter, a cease and desist letter, or a letter on letterhead will shake people up and often get the results that you intend without really having to go any further. So anyway, just kind of want to pitch this idea about there and get people kind of thinking about. Who might we know? Who might we ask? How might we put this together where we can have truth-friendly legal counsel on retainer? So as these things come up, or to prepare sort of a boilerplate defense, at least some way we can not have to take each person is trying to learn as quickly as they can all the aspects of the legal fiction. And again, that's powerful information for not only your own information, but as we begin to set up these alternate communities on our own, these things will be very valuable, right? To know what our personal rights and freedoms and responsibilities are to one another. I think that'll be immensely helpful. But as we currently have to, as distasteful it is, just like with fiat currency, right? We're sort of, by virtue of the fact that we found ourselves living in this matrix, we now have to unplug ourselves. And unlike the movie, it's not one pop, right? It's a kind of a slow withdrawal. But there are going to be legal issues. And one thing that I have found for sure is that having appropriate and skillful legal counsel, even just a few things here and there, right, to help you navigate these things, is immensely powerful. And so I'm just kind of suggesting that as a kind of put that out there in the community and see if, again, if you want to contact me about that, if you know somebody. I don't have all the time to try to chase it down myself, right? So I feel a little bit awkward by saying, hey, what is, here's an idea, you guys go run and do it, right? But I'm willing to be involved. I just can't always spearhead all the ideas, right? Because my time is limited, and I'm really trying to step back out of the contract work that I do to pay the bills a little bit more into this, but I haven't yet replaced the money. And again, I always feel badly afterwards if I haven't called everybody out by name. I do try to thank every person individually who, without being asked or even encouraged to, has been so generous to support with kind words, encouragement, and especially financial support for this channel. As you know, I often just turn around and send that to other people who are in need, because I think that's what we do, right? That's what we should be, is helping one another out. And so as I'm able, it certainly does give me the opportunity to be more able to help people out when they need it. And one of those people that has recently come into a terrible need is right in the chat right now, Brian Jackson. His fiancee recently passed. She was suddenly diagnosed with a very rare disorder. And before they could even really react or come up with much of a plan, unfortunately, she passed. And so that leaves his kids and stepkids in an awkward spot, right? And so he wasn't able to work in that time, trying to take care of her, and it just is a mess. And so a GoFundMe has been set up, and if you can, please donate. It's got $1,700 so far, $5,000 goal. I've seen some of our amazing community donate, as well as a number of anonymous donors. Thank you so much for donating to Brian. But if you're able, please, just a few bucks, I think will help. I've been in a similar situation, and some of the most valuable of the donations came from people that I knew for sure couldn't afford it, right? Even 10 or 20 bucks from somebody that I knew was almost in a bad spot as I was so immensely touching and meaningful to me. But as were the bigger donations. So again, if you can, and this is who I think we are, and this is what I think helps define us, right? And separates us from those others who claim to be, quote, truthers or, on a mission from God. And, all they have to offer is hatred and attacking other people, right? That's, I don't know, for me, that's not how it's done. And so that brings me, I suppose, to another aspect of what I wanted to touch on this morning. And again, it's an awkward thing, I suppose, but one of the things that happens as we begin to talk about what I jokingly call the poppy cult, right? This idea of communal living and getting together. It's a big step, right? And it is it's going to be challenging, and it's going to be long term. It's going to require a lot of commitment. both in sweat equity as well as, again, material investment. Land costs money, and so just putting this stuff together. Unlike some other better-known people making Bruintaria or whatever. I'm not asking for anybody to just give money and no promises, right? So we're trying to put together something that makes sense. And whatever that buy-in would be, I'm going to go in as well. So my money will be in equally with everybody else. I'm not trying to necessarily lead anything, but to certainly be a part of it. And that there would be some, we're looking at basically the idea of doing an LLC or limited liability corporation, some corporate veil to keep it out of people's names specifically, such that we can all kind of buy in and that you have value, and it's on. We have an agreement. It's on paper. When you buy in, you have value. If you immediately jump out, probably be like a restocking fee or whatever, but it'll be agreed in advance what it looks like, and here's what you get when you come in, and then potentially several levels. Those who can contribute more certainly would greater return on that. We're trying to figure it out right now. I want to begin having these conversations with the larger community soon. And one of the big things about this as we move forward, right, there's always questions that we're trying to answer as we go along about what it is, how we do it, where it is, right? So far it does feel like I'm being nudged pretty hard toward the southeast. I've also said on numerous occasions that I don't think this should be the only one, that you should do this where you're at, right? Ceiling Fan Man is doing it here in the Pacific Northwest. And I mean, we're both kind of sad that I'm not jumping in over there around the corner from me, but I have to go where Dad leads me, and I feel like he's leading me toward the southeast for whatever reason. And so I'm going to follow that until he points me in a different direction. But we should start these in a variety of different places. And I think similarly put together. So as each one has successes and failures, we share with each other what those are. And we try to learn from this, both the positives and the negatives. But one of the things that also comes to mind, and what I've said from the outset, is that this is a community of like-minded people. And I certainly see, and you can see this both around you and social media for sure, is that even within our community, there are some more and some less like-minded. We have a tendency to, I don't want to say get into cliques, but, there are those who are more, I would say, religious-minded versus spiritual, and those that are more comfortable with some things than others, and those who are dedicated vegans and that sort of stuff. So again, and good on you, right? I have no, I make no claims that, my way is the right way. It's just, it's better for me. And also it seems that people sort of tend to gravitate toward those that they're more like. And I've said this, again, from the outset. One of the things that I've noted is that with the what, how, where, when, we know the why, but the who is going to be the most important thing. Whenever we started thinking about where to do this, it came to mind that, the larger question even than where is who, because with the right people, almost anywhere will work. They'll overcome it. But with the wrong people, or if there's problems, even the best starting place will fail. And so the who becomes immensely important. And to that, there are, there's an experience that I had just the last couple of days in one of the groups, right, quote, truther groups on social media, in which a person, I don't know, probably many of you know this. I don't want to out people too much, but the situation where a person said that there's a local meetup, and I'm shy, I'm social anxiety, I want to go real bad. What's your advice, right? So, of course, I shared my story of Flattoberfest, and there was one who contributed, and sent, a bunch of big circle jerk and. Right. Here's what you should do is just be like a comedian, right? Give yourself 45 minutes of jokes and talking, and have your script, and, then nobody cares about your day-to-day life. And I was like, well, okay, I mean, if that's you, okay, but that's not what we're about, right? Like you're telling somebody to be disingenuous. Oh, and alcohol helps. So you're asking somebody to be disingenuous and lie and put on a show to go to what you think is a wanker fest, right? So, I mean, you do you, but that's not what I want in my group, right? And so, so they, said, well, free range person. I want, fine, fly, be free. So, but what I'm saying, I suppose, is that it has occurred to me, and I've been thinking about this, and this is the first time I've said it publicly, is that there's going to be some very awkward moments, right, of sometimes saying no. Not that we don't want you, but you might do better with more like-minded folks for yourself, right? Because if it comes to it, right, we need to be absolutely trusting of one another, and we're literally putting our lives on the line for each other, and so each person needs to be comfortable with the other people around them, and in every group. And this is why I think that there should be many groups. There's going to be, again, some that are more comfortable with people that people are, and so I'm not going to say, hey, I want to see if you're good enough to be in my gang. Man, that's not at all how it is. But there does have to be, I think, some agreements, and there's going to be those difficult times. And I also, one of the really difficult things for me to learn in my life, because I always want people to be happy, and I sort of please people, and had to learn this very difficult lesson that your yes becomes of no value if there's not no. And in fact, if it's not mostly no, then the yes doesn't have much value. And so there needs to be, again, good boundaries for everybody, and that we all protect one another. And in fact, it's me looking out for those who have different views to say, I think you won't be as comfortable in this group as you might be with that, with another group that has more of your values, right? And I think that we all need to be very clear and very transparent at this time about what our values are and what we're okay with and what we're not okay with, right? So be honest with that. Don't let your deep desire, right, to be in a community, like, I'll be left out, right? I won't get into this one. I won't get picked for the team if I'm honest about how I feel about this. I'm begging people not to be. Just to be honest, because that's what we have to be honest with one another, and again, I think the more you are honest and transparent and committed to intimate relationships with others, then you will clearly see who your best fit is going to be. I mean, I've had people ask when I talk about this is like, it sounds like a proposal, right? We're sharing our lives with each other. I'm like, yeah, it is. And so we have to be as sure about that as we would be about being married. It's a commitment, and there's going to be pain if it has to be broken up. And I understand that there's going to be things that occur. But again, I just want to bring this to the table and say that I think it's going to work better if there are multiple groups of like-minded people that are interconnected, right, and interdependent with one another. Not that we're in competition, or that this one's better than that one, or we don't like the vegan group. No, that's not my heart at all. My intention and my heart is to support everybody, but that everybody should be comfortable where they're at. Right, and we can't all be in the same place. I think that would be disastrous as well. I think that's one of the problems, right? Even without the artificial Hegelian dialectic of polarizing people, that it would be almost impossible to really fairly and equitably, rule a country, for example, with people living both rural and urban lives. Their values and needs are very different, and so I think the best thing is to meet people's needs, my vision at this point is it should be less than 300 in every group. It should mitosis and split at about 150. You should start planning on it. So at the time it gets to 300, you should be able to split and have another group ready to go, so that those relationships can be maintained and all the values can be easily done, and what you bought in for, right? So imagine that you paid, pulling numbers out of my ass. Let's say you paid $5,000, right, to get into a thing and to pay your portion of this larger deal, right? And then, but there's a whole bunch of people come, right? So it's 30, 40, 50 people. And then all of a sudden there's 500 people, right? So then your percentage of the whole is much less. So that seems to be unfair. I mean, it's like if you're buying stock or whatever, it needs to be equitable, that you get what you pay for. So to that end, again, I think we still have a ways to go in defining all this stuff. And I certainly don't believe I have all the answers. But I think I'm at least approaching some of the problems, right, and trying to come up with potential solutions to inevitable problems, challenges, right? Just because people. So anyway, just wanted to get that out there and say that we should keep these things in mind, right? And to not, I think just managing expectations is very helpful, right? To unspoken expectations, right, are a guaranteed disaster. So you need to be very open about what your expectations are, and very clear about those, right? So otherwise, there's going to be again a lot of unhappy people if unspoken expectations come out. So, Brian, are you getting some love there, man? That's awesome. Yeah, just again want to touch on that. So some of the things that I would love to see in relation to whatever it turns out to be, right, is things I'd love to see there, and potential revenue streams as well, right? Dying for an on-site physics lab, a place where we can set, like a somatics workshop, a physics lab where we can do these hands-on sort of things that like Zach and Cami are doing with magnets and electromagnetism, also like a film and podcast studio, as I mentioned before, could be very valuable to us. A greenhouse, right? Obviously, animal husbandry, sewing and skills and crafting and building, that sort of stuff. Those are the kind of things that I'd love to see online, and not only for self-sustenance, but as a potential revenue stream as well. So keep those things in mind. Let's see, I covered music, I think. Just to say, I'm still uncertain of exactly how to do it, whether it's a Patreon or subscriber-based thing or whatever. But I hear you, and I want to do that. We'll figure out a way to do that. Generally, support, right, is consider, again, supporting others in your community, whether that's content creators or whether that's people in need like Brian, or God loveth a cheerful giver. And I try to do this, I love being able to support people as best I can in whatever way I can. And I think that right now there are so many people going through such difficult circumstances that one of the best ways that I've found to break out of depression is to help someone else. It changes your focus entirely, and it gives you a feeling of success that you can help someone, even if you're in the depths of despair yourself. And so this is one way that I think we can, all of us, kind of shake off a little bit of the unhappiness of what the world is pressing in around us by helping one another out and doing good for one another. What would be helpful to everyone. Let's see, I mentioned Brian's. Let's see, I have another list of folks. I would just like to, again, this is kind of random shout-outs here for people that I would love to see, just random shout-outs. So again, this is Brian Jackson. This is Ted Summers' channel. If you can, go visit Ted Summer. He has 544 subs, and he's one of the most awesome people in this community. He doesn't put out a lot of content, but he certainly is an amazing guy and has great content. So go, if you can, and if you would, go subscribe to him. Also in the chat, Ceiling Fan Man has begun a new journey. He's now doing a regular Friday stream. He's copying everything I do. No, he's doing Friday Night Vespers. Now he's doing Heart to Heart with the Ceiling Fan Man on Friday evenings, 9 p.m. on the West Coast. That's going to be midnight on the East Coast. 2-hour stream in which he talks about some stuff at the beginning and then looks at some scripture. So last night, he had asked if I would be around, and I said sure. And I thought he was inviting me on the show, and then I was dumb. I was wrong. He just wanted me to watch it, so I did. And I got to see Brian B. Stavely as. I love you, Brian. You're a nut job. So let's see. Anyway, go subscribe to his backup channel. 277 subscribers on Ceiling Fan Man 2, a very creative channel name. But his other channel got pulled, of course, because he said you might get results for healing with prayer. It was listed as medical misinformation. Okay, it looks like we're back now. I was just saying how much I love YouTube. The minute I mention anything, I do that. Love you guys. Okay, so let's see. We have that. What else? So Ceiling Fan Man, he's on his backup channel, and Ceiling Fan Man 2 is that. And great content from Ceiling Fan Man. A great neighbor, a great friend, a wacky, kooky guy. He actually ate my biscuits and gravy, my medicated green butter biscuits and gravy, and acted like he liked it, so that was good. Let's see. Who else? I don't have those pulled up, but you know them. Brian Stavely, Karen B., hardest working folks in our community, unveiling this realm. Check them out. Also, Beth Martins. I wanted to drop that in there. I love Beth, and again, she's got such a healing, giving heart, and she is really helping with personal growth in the community. So not just information, but internal personal growth with her King's Heroes Journey and the seminars that she does. Thank you, Beth. And let's see, I'll pull up her channel as well. Because, well, she's awesome. And here's Beth Martin's channel. I'll drop that in the chat as well. So it doesn't cost you a thing. Go sub to these people and just show them some love. And it's one great way to support the people in our group. So, yes, Nacho Queta. I'm sorry, I was going to call him Nacho, and that's my name for him. But he said just don't call it to him publicly. Okay. So, yeah, I got an email from him just a couple of days ago, and he... So for those of you who know or don't, a few months back, just a couple of months ago, he said he was going to take a break from social media. He wanted to refocus on his personal growth and development. As much as he loves the community and the relationships, he also felt like he was losing a bit of focus in giving away some of his energy that he needed to refocus on himself just to advance, right? And so he wasn't going to move much further in the areas that he felt he needed to if he didn't do that. And, of course, he has my full support in that, and he had some very kind words both personally but for the community in the email that I received from him. So he seems to be doing good. And Karen, I think everybody needs to do that from time to time. And I have learned, again, the hard way, that rather than be like a river, right, which feeds all its tributaries, but whenever it stops raining, it can dry up. The reservoir is better to fill it up, and then you always have a bit of overflow. And when there's not anything coming in, then you stop that overflow for a moment until it can refill, and then you have enough for everybody, right? So good to if you are empty, you've got nothing to give. So I mean, we know that to be sure. So anyway, just if you would support those people, it doesn't cost you a thing. Upcoming, let's see, from Unintended Consequences. So in the coming year, I'm going to do season 2 is coming up. So it's going to be, I am going to do a multi-part series on water, as I've been promising for some time. I feel like I need to get that out there now and let other people have a whack at it as well. That's going to include taking a look at chemistry and a deeper dive into frequency, vibration, cymatics, crystals, all the stuff that Cammie and I talked about with our conversation on even the rocks will cry out. This is one reason, again, I'm hoping to put together a working physics lab, even a basic one, in which we can do, again, cymatics, electromagnetic stuff, of all kinds. And really explore. But this is coming out. Also, I need to tie up some of the phase 1 results from the Awakening Project, get that information out there, make it usable. I have a few things left to do with that to incorporate some of the sky clock stuff and roll out, at least prep to roll out phase 2, which includes blood type and a few other specific items that will come more in a questionnaire form. So the big move, again, upcoming, I've mentioned this several times, that all right, how about that? Hopefully. So I cleared the buffer entirely. Hopefully, we're back. Okay. So sorry about that. I have no idea. For a while, YouTube said that the stream was good. So the YouTube bridge was okay, but the broadcast studio was giving me trouble. Now everything seems to be going good at a high frame rate. Okay. So there we go. I better wrap this up before they kick me off entirely. Don't be surprised if the channel gets axed. All right. So where am I at? Yeah. So the big picture. This is, I guess, coming down into for a landing here. Number one is, I think I've already said this, support one another. Not just materially, but emotionally, spiritually if possible. And I think one of the things to that is, so back to the conversation regarding expectations and the interaction on social media. So the person that said that they were, free range, somebody mentioned that you may not be in the right group. And they said, oh, I know I'm in the right group. I'm not a COVID-idiot. And so to them, understanding that we've been lied to meant that they were, a full-fledged member of the community, that is all it takes. And certainly it is the understanding of the nature of our world that brings you to this place. But information itself does not, a higher-minded person make. I guess I'll stop here and bookmark and say, this is my opinion, these are my views. But simply having the information doesn't, make you a better person. What's a better person? Again, this is probably somewhat subjective. The type of people that I want to be around, the type of people that I think most of you are. Those are the kind of people that I want to be around and to commit my life to, right, and with. So, but simply having the information or simply agreeing in principle on some of the philosophies isn't necessarily what makes the whole thing, right? From my perspective, if there's no inner growth, if there's no push toward or desire to be higher-minded and develop as a person, then from my perspective, again, I'm not really interested in that. I'm not interested in all this as simply an intellectual pursuit. And I suppose that part of that is because when we get down to it, again, I guess I'm going to bounce all over the place here, but one of the suggested videos that I got, and unfortunately it played automatically, and then ever since, YouTube has been suggesting it over and over, which is Russell Brand. I don't usually not really say anything bad other than it's very clear that it's controlled opposition, and so he gives some true information and then absolutely directs you away from seeing the big picture. And one of the things, of course, that he's specific about is that really reeling you in from the idea that there is a spiritual battle going on, and making it entirely about the material conflict, like who's running government and money. Yes, those things are a part of it, but that's part of the wool that's been pulled over your eyes, right? Ultimately, it's a spiritual battle. And so if you don't have the weapons or even acknowledge that that is the battle and are willing to jump in and fight there, then I'm not willing to be in a foxhole with a person who isn't well equipped to fight that battle. If you want to fight the battle of material possessions, then do that. And I'm sure that there are many people who are all down with that. And I'm not going to judge it and say it's not. I'm not saying that it's bad. People want to care for their family, and that's a positive motivation. But to me, without clearly understanding that this is a spiritual battle, that's what it's all about, and focusing you on the material aspects to the exclusion of the understanding that it is a battle for your soul, I think leaves you ill-prepared. Even if you have all of the skills to make a sustainable place to live, and you're an asshole, I'm gonna wish you luck and ask you for some tips on the skills, but I can't live with you like that. And again, this is my opinions, and so I said be clear about expectations. These are mine, right? Is that people should want to again, acknowledge that the nature of the battle that we're in and want to improve. I don't think any of us are there yet. I'm not expecting enlightened beings to show up, levitating in on their magic flying carpet. That would be weird. But that's who I'm interested in, right? Is the people who are good people who are coming to the awareness that they've been lied to. Not people who are aware that we've been lied to and going to be dicks to everybody about it. I just have a hard time with that. And so, not to say that there's not good information there, but I'm being honest about that. So, when I say that if we want to help one another, one of the things is to look for where you can best fit and help. In the New Testament, the way it's described there is that you have different people have different, quote, spiritual gifts, and that is some are good teachers, right? Some are good with helps, some are good healers, some are good with support, right? Different people do different things, and not necessarily one is more important than the other. Those who create content certainly are important, and it gives people an opportunity to get together with one another. And so that's an awesome thing. I'm, again, big into those who create content. But also, I think just as important are those who support it, right? Because without those who do, the rest of us couldn't do it. I mean, I support it. I support myself, right? I don't really ask for a lot. And I'm so thankful for those who do give, and it helps it happen. And hopefully it'll bridge the transition to be able to do more long-form videos and edited videos the way that I had originally intended. But ultimately, again, I think for each person, if you're going to go into higher-mindedness and then look for where your skills are and grow them. And then contribute those skills and gifts to those around you. And again, I think that will help you both continue to grow as a person, but also there's a joy in giving that I just can't overstate. When Scripture says it's better to give than to receive, man, is that so true? There is a certain joy in giving. There is a humility in receiving, and I've learned that there's a blessing in that too, and to not deny others the joy of giving. And so I used to be very difficult to give something to because I didn't want to be, putting anybody out. But now I've learned to graciously accept because I don't want to rob them of the joy of giving. And I understand the joy of giving myself to where, yes, the more I can, the more I want to. And to look for people who are most in need of what I can offer. Once again, it's not often. In fact, material needs is what I have least to offer, but when I can, I do. But whatever I have, I'm going to offer that. So become the best you can be, right? And so I guess I would just say focus on that and trim the fat, right? Get rid of the things that are weighing you down and distracting you. If trying unsuccessfully to, turn those around you or to wake people up and all you're getting is pushback, maybe it's time to reconsider whether that is where you should spend your effort. And maybe the effort should be spent instead, preparing or supporting others. I mean, I can't tell you what's right for you. But what I am saying is that as someone who looks at efficiency, I do take time to look at where's the most efficient expenditure of resources, because everything's a trade-off. For everything you do, there's some other thing that you cannot do, whether that's in terms of your time or your attention or your finances or your emotions. For everything that you do, there's other things you can't do, and not necessarily that one is bad, right? You ideally, you want to choose from a list of awesome things and find the amazing thing, ideally. But it is really, up to you to find that. And for me personally, I think the best way to discover that, right, is to go to your creator and spend time with the creator and have them guide you into not only where your skills and talents best are, but how you can best serve others through that. But that's my encouragement for you today, and to set for each of you, just as I'm doing here, again, I'm preaching to the choir here, or to myself, right, into setting realistic, achievable goals. One of the things that I see is most devastating to any person emotionally is being purposelessness, right, without direction. And so many of us, especially in the last year, because everything has been taken from us, and we've been so focused on just trying to survive, that many of us have lost our goals. All the things that we were working toward either have been pulled out from under us or put on hold. And it's important to have a reason for being. And many of the people that I talk to who are in dire need right now have seemed to lost their way in that area. They just don't know what to do, and they feel alone and afraid. And that's where they get you. So fear not, right? We're here with you. But if you can find a purpose, right, that is what will help you, is to get a purpose. And even if it's small, and that's the best place to start, is someplace small, right? For me, it feels like what I do here, right, is I get many kind words from people, and thank you so much. And I'm so delighted that it is of service and it does help some people. But to me, again, it's because I love it. I love to spend time with you, and I love to be a part of it. It's not a burden to me. It does require some discipline to have everything, lined up, but that I make commitments, right, to spend time with people, and that requires, commitment. But it's not a burden, right? I don't feel like it's. Well, again, I guess I could feel like I could do more, and so, but for each of us, I would say if you to improve your emotional state, two things to do: set realistic, achievable goals with milestones to completion, and every time you cross one of those off, throw yourself a party, right? Give yourself props for everything along the way. Be nice to yourself, and then be good to others. And one of those goals can be to discover your skills, right, and learn how best to use that in a community. Also, get help and support from others. It's okay to ask other people for help because you're going to need it. right? And when you're down and you're struggling, ask, right? This is, again, amazing community of awesome people who want to help. So ask and see what you have not because you ask not. Have each other's backs, right? Just kind of going back to the Mac thing, right? When people get in difficult situations and they need our help, stand up and support them. And my encouragement, again, is to support them, not necessarily, you don't necessarily have to agree with the way that they're approaching everything. Support them, right? Let them make those choices. And if they make mistakes, hopefully they'll learn from those mistakes. But I support the people, right? And speak up, but you don't have to shout, right? I just don't think yelling at people or calling them names is going to convince anybody. I think what will encourage people is to see us supporting one another. And that will be, I think, attractive to others. This is probably a random thing. I'll just read a quick bit of text here. It's probably random, and some may not get it, and some might, but it hit me today. Galatians 2:4. This matter, this controversy, arose because some false believers had infiltrated our ranks to spy on the freedom we have and to make us slaves. Galatians 2:4. I'll be back tomorrow morning with Ancient Wisdom for a Modern World, and I hope you join me for that. Just reading some Proverbs, maybe some Psalms, or some other inspirational and insightful scripture. I'll be back in the evening, 5 p.m. Pacific time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. Solar Scriptura with Wayne McCrory of Alchemical Tech Revolution. Another guy you could check out his channel and give him a sub. Fantastic research. Wayne is not only a delightful individual, but brilliant and well prepared. He gets deep into these subjects. So check him out as well. Let's see, what else do we have? I just want to make sure I've got the complete list of all my notes. I think that's it. Don't forget to check out all the goodies in terms of the Solar Return Festival. Spoke about that earlier. Check that out. Also, that's 27th of March in Greenville, South Carolina. Let's just tell you what. We'll just go through all that one more time on our way out. So there's that. Come back over here. Solar Return Festival. Here is the link. And there's where you can go to get tickets and more information. Flat Earth Meetup coming up Connecticut, March 7th with David Weiss, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. You can, I'll put the link to that in the chat as well. And he's got in the description all kinds of way to contact and get more information about that. Coming up the 20th of March in Shelton, Washington at Neyland Park. You can come hang out with myself and Ceiling Fan Man and Mrs. Ceiling Fan and Mark Sargent and a whole bunch of crew crazies out there. So make sure and do that. If you're so inclined and you want to do a little jam thing at the Solar Return Festival in South Carolina, hit me up, unintended.consequences3@gmail.com, and we can put something together, just a little jam session. Yeah, it'll be fun. I think that is mostly what I have today. Thank you again so much, everybody, and of course, don't forget Brian Jackson. Right, needs a little love there, and hopefully, look at that. Right. Awesome. So much. Thank you guys. Really appreciate that. So that's what we got today. And thanks for coming. I'll find some outro music for you. And I think I want to just say this. We do need a drummer. We need somebody who can keep time, not just bang on the drums, but a drummer. If I knew somebody close, maybe I can get somebody from Nashville to drive down. That'd be awesome, because they would be good. Anyway, I think that's it. Try to find some outro music to throw at you here. And I think that's it, guys. I did want to say, again, thank you so much to everybody who has sent kind words support, both materially and spiritually. I really can't thank each of you enough. And again, I tried to say individual thanks to each one, but do know that I am so deeply touched and honored by just your acceptance in the community. It's awesome. So with that, throw down. This is, again, from Joe Ray and I originally. I think this is about 1994. It's called More Than I've Ever Seen. And we will leave it here. And I'll see you again tomorrow morning. Thanks, guys.
Still burns inside with a light that I cannot hide. I walk on the edge of time, ride the winds of destiny. I hear the thunders coming, bringing me to my knees, like nothing I've ever seen. In my mind I hear the voices calling. In my mind I see the planets collide. In my mind I feel the end beginning. It's like waking up from a dream. It's more than I've ever seen. Shadows fall like angels' tears, leaves darkness on every shore. The season's morning light inspires me no more. Seems more than I can endure. If I walk this final mile, will love be waiting there? If my feet are on solid ground, can I reach my dreams